Imagine if you could start a successful craft brewery without making all the costly mistakes others have made. What if you could turn your passion for brewing into a thriving business? Let's not lose our shirt with this concept. So, if you're thinking about opening a brewery and you want to learn what it takes before diving in, this video covers everything: budgeting, equipment, permits, and marketing strategies. Before we jump in, let me introduce myself. My name's Trip. I help brewpubs and breweries develop successful marketing strategies to grow their business. In this video, I'm breaking down everything you need to start your own craft brewery. I'll cover the top tips, tricks, and insider knowledge to help you succeed. And if you drop help in the comments down below, I'll send you for free my profit boosting plan for breweries. If you're going to be starting your own brewery, some profits probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have, no? So go ahead and do that. Put help in the comments right now and make sure you get that. Let's dive in. Starting a brewery begins obviously with a clear vision. What kind of brewery do you want to be? Is your focus on the local community, innovative brewing techniques, or high quality traditional recipes? You've got to flesh that out. Fleshing things out starts with researching the market. What are other successful breweries doing? Learn from their branding, beer offerings, and marketing techniques. Analyze competitors and update the demographics of your future customers. Resources like Brewers Association are great for industry insights. For businesses I've started, I've gone to local town demographics, gone into the town and gotten all the details about how many folks live there, how old they are, all sorts of things. And I use that to guide me to determine if I was making a good decision or not. Next thing to decide on, how big do you want to be? Will you be a microbrewery, a nano brewery, or a larger production facility? A microbrewery is a small brewery that produces less than 15,000 barrels of beer each year and sells at least 75% of its beer off-site. A nano brewery is a small-scale brewery that produces a limited amount of craft beer in batches of 3 barrels or less. This decision impacts a ton of things, everything from the amount of space you need, the type of equipment you need, and of course the amount of money, so what type of funding you'd need. For example, a nano brewery is perfect if you're starting with a small budget, while a larger brewery is going to require a substantial initial investment, but you've got to get that thing sorted before going forward. Next, let's talk about some more financial elements. This is where many aspiring brewers struggle. So let's break down the financial components and take a look at exactly what you need to do and how to get to that point. Let's talk startup costs. You'll need brewing equipment, tanks, fermenters, kegs, etc. There's licensing. You obviously need space and raw materials. Most startups in the craft brewing space, from a cost standpoint, an estimate about $250,000 to $1 million in initial costs. Of course, that's going to fluctuate depending on the size of your brewery. Make sure to set a budget for everything from your grain to your labor. Next, let's talk about how you get that kind of funding. Look into multiple sources for funding. There's small business loans, personal savings, angel investors, and there's crowdfunding platforms like Kickstart. Successful breweries often combine multiple funding sources to minimize their risk, and I strongly recommend that you do that. Find different ways to secure this money without dipping into your savings. Of course, you're going to probably have to put your own money in, but be smart about that and take a look at where you are essentially on, the journey of life. If you've got gray hair like me and, dipping into and using the majority of your savings might not be a smart thing to do. But again, you know you better than me. Next thing you got to think about, planning on ongoing costs. Monthly costs will include utilities, staff wages, raw materials, marketing, and transportation. Always plan for emergencies and unforeseen expenses. You don't want to get caught off guard when equipment fails or raw materials spike in price. Think about having at least a 60-day cash slush fund. That means you could operate for 60 days covering all your costs without needing to sell one beer. Now, you may not be able to be in that spot day one, but how you handle your finances once you get up and going is really important. So keep that as a real good, smart rule of thumb and start at 60 and try to get to 90 or 120. Next, let's talk about space and equipment. The right location is critical to your success because location matters. Select a location that's accessible to your target customers. A bustling downtown spot, that's going to bring a lot of foot traffic, but you'll probably also find you're going to need to pay a higher rent. Suburban areas or spots off the beaten path are often much cheaper for the same amount of space, but could require you to do more marketing efforts to drive traffic. Because people, if you're off the beaten path, they're not going to know that you're even there. When it comes down to buying equipment, quality brewing equipment is a must. You'll need fermenters, conditioning tanks, brew house systems, and more. Companies like SS Brewtech and Blishman Engineering offer scalable options for breweries of all sizes because you may not start out with where you'd like to get to. So factor in that situation. You might be starting as a Nano and then want to grow into the microbrewing facet. Think about having the type of equipment that you can just add on to what you additionally have to increase production. Let's talk about how you're going to secure your space. Depending on your budget, you might lease space initially because that saves on some upfront costs. Make sure your space meets zoning requirements and has enough room for that expansion. Remember what we were just talking about, going from size X to size Y, make sure there's room in that facility to do so. Because the last thing you want to do is outgrow your space too quickly. Regulation is a major part of brewing, and you'll need to understand it as well. Apply for the federal and state brewing license. You start with the Alcohol Tobacco Tax Bureau, TTB. This process can take 4 to 6 months, so it's best to start early. Also have to consider local permits. Local regulations vary widely, sometimes obviously state to state, even county to county or city to city. You may need a state-specific liquor license. Health department permits are going to be needed, and building inspections will have to be done. Each of these is critical to stay on the right side of the law and opening your doors. I once knew someone, they opened up their business a couple of days before they really had the legal right to do it. State came in, shut them down, and they never opened. And I'm just talking about a couple of days. So trust me, I've seen people get burned massively. We're talking about someone who had invested probably upwards of $1 million in getting the facility up to scale. And you know what? Had to take all that stuff and go elsewhere. You don't want to make that mistake. Stay on the right side of the law when it comes to license, permits, and being in overall compliance. Once your brewery's up and running, you know what comes next? You're going to need some customers. So the first thing to do is we're building a brand. Create a brand that resonates with your target audience. Are you known to be the person who creates experimental beers? Or is your commitment to sustainability? A strong brand is going to set you apart from the competition. It lets people know specifically what they're going to experience and get when they come into your business and buy your products. People don't want a wild card. So be clear about that and make sure that from everything that you do, your brand image reflects and resonates through everything you put out there. Leverage Instagram, Facebook, YouTube to share your brewing process, promote events, and build a community. Many breweries find success by hosting local events, collaborating with other businesses, and even sponsoring local festivals. I've got multiple videos that cover all this types of stuff and more. So definitely tap into it. As well as I've got some PDFs you can download so you've got that information on hand to go forward. But trust me, some of the best breweries fail because they don't get folks to actually ever find out how great they are. And that's down to marketing. So that's one of the things that started me to create this channel. So definitely tap in and use everything I have here, including go ahead in the comments. You got questions. Let me know. I'd love to help you because if you're going to make this jump, I'd hate to see you not be successful. If there was something I could share with you or give you, I definitely want to do that. Let's talk about distribution. Start small by selling directly from your tap room or participating in local beer festivals. As you grow, look into selling to local bars, restaurants, and even retail stores. But it should be a step-by-step gradual process. Now let's kind of wrap things up here. First thing you need to do is start with a clear vision and scale in mind. Budget carefully, secure diverse funding sources. Make sure you're protecting yourself through this process. Next, make sure you choose the right location and buy the necessary equipment. Make sure you obtain all required permits and licensing. Build your brand through marketing and community events. Make sure you tap in and look at everything I have here on this channel to help you, because that's why I'm doing this. So if you found this video helpful, make sure you're following me on social media. Make sure you join my free newsletter. That's down in the description as well for more tips on growing your brewery business. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to see you get started and be a massive success. I'll see you in my next video.